After talking about some older horror films, I've just talked about The Haunted 1963 and talked about The Shining from I think 1980. Might have got that date wrong. I thought I would talk about a more modern horror film called Trick or Treat. Now, this film isn't nearly as well known as it should be. It was just released a couple of years ago, and it says 2007 here, or 2009. One of those. And I think it must have been closer to 2009 actually, to be honest. Anyway, so Trick or Treat is an anthology horror film. Now, an anthology horror film basically has a bunch of like small stories and then a wraparound story that connects the different stories. And with Trick or Treat, which was, I forget the name, let me check, was directed and written by, it was what's his second name? Michael Dougherty, alright, or Doherty, depending on where you come from. And the film it's set in a small town in America on Halloween night, and there are loads of different stories taking place, and so the wraparound is really this town, and you start finding out that some of the stories are actually connected. There are, for example, a bunch of kids that are going trick-or-treating. There's a story about them. You see them in a few of the different stories. They end up at this girl's house who has bad learning difficulties. Then they try to play a prank on her by taking her to this place where supposedly a school bus with kids drowned. It was drowned. The school bus wasn't drowned. The children were drowned, and they pretend to be the ghost and scare her, and then things actually start happening. That's one story. You've got another story about what seems to be some sort of like vampire stalker kicking about the town. You've got what else have you got? You've got a coven of werewolves. A coven's normally witches, but you know what I mean. You understand when you watch it. A story about an old man who's sort of stuck in his house and he's under siege by some sort of little creature. A story about a serial killer who's in fact a teacher. And yeah, it's really, really good. I was really surprised. I actually watched this by not by accident, but I think it was last Halloween, and I was round at a friend's and we were bored and we put on a film on Virgin On Demand. We ordered it, and I saw Trick or Treat, and I said, well, I know that's an anthology horror film, and I should say at this point, anthology horror, my favourite genre out there. In fact, I'll go and do a video on anthology horror, and this is really, really, really good entry into that genre. It's good fun. It's obviously been influenced by, I think, George Romero's Creepshow. And my computer agrees with me. And I think, if I remember rightly, it's been a little while since I've watched this, but I think there was, that's the chair, not me. I think there was the opening to it, the credit sequences are basically all illustrated, much like Creepshow was, and you get this little guy kicking about most of the film, and he's quite frightening. In fact, it's him that kind of pulls all the stories together in a lot of ways. And yeah, the entire film is really well done. It's really well shot. It's got a sort of saturated look to it. There's a great sort of depth of colour in the film, and it's just a lot of fun, and it's just it's a proper horror film. The stories are all well told. The way they weave together is pretty clever as well, and it's definitely a film you could watch more than once, as I have. And while a lot of it is kind of like a lot of anthology horror, it's not particularly scary. The story I was talking about with the children who take this girl with learning difficulties and play a prank on her, and that story where the real dead children end up appearing is really, really scary. And I was watching it and I was like, this is actually, it gave me shivers up my spine. So I would definitely recommend this. It's got a really good cast. It's got Brian Cox in it, a fellow Scotsman who is an excellent actor. And all in all, it's quite sick and it's quite gory as well, but it doesn't just rely on that. It does rely on genuine, proper scares, and fantastic for Halloween night. But you know, good for all the family. Not really all the family. Some people wouldn't like this. My girlfriend wouldn't watch this. It would scare her. But really worth checking out. Trick or Treat. Should have had a cinema release. Shame on you, Warner, for not giving it a cinema release. Anyway, that's all. What a strange way to end the video.